Hey, awesome. So today, welcome to yet another episode of One on One with our expert therapist from HealerBuddy. And today, we are going to talk about anxiety disorder. So we have Nalisa Danraj with us, who is an expert across anxiety disorder, stress, premarital counseling. Um, so we are going to go and dive right into the definition of anxiety disorder, myths, and common topics revolving around that. So I would invite Nalisa to give a brief introduction about her and what we are going to do and talk about.
Thank you. So, like you stated, my name's Nalisa. I'm one of the psychotherapists with HealerBuddy. I have my background in social work. I have an MSW, and one of the areas I like to specialize in is trauma and trauma focused therapy.
Awesome. Thank you, Nalisa. Before we get started, I invite all the audience and viewers to share their thoughts on anxiety disorder, or any questions you may want to ask. Feel free to ask them. So yeah, here we go. Can you define to us, Nalisa, what is anxiety disorder?
Yeah. So anxiety disorder is a broad term that covers a multitude of anxiety based conditions that include things like generalized anxiety disorder, phobias, panic disorder, um, social anxiety disorder, just to name a few. Anxiety disorder is different from regular stress in that it involves excessive fear or anxiety to the point it affects a person's daily function or it impedes their relationships for a significant period of time.
Interesting. Thanks for giving that insight. What are some of the common coping techniques for addressing anxiety disorder?
Yeah. So when we're helping individuals who are experiencing anxiety disorder, we often talk about what's known as the window of tolerance, as it relates to what most people would commonly know as the fight, flight, or freeze responses. So when we're talking about the window of tolerance, it refers to a person's capacity to receive negative stimulants like the feeling of fear and still be able to access areas of their brain responsible for logic and reasoning. Once a client exits this window of tolerance, they have been overstimulated by their emotional responses and now have entered the fight, flight, or freeze response. My job as a therapist is to help clients identify that elevation in their negative emotional stimuli and provide them with the tools to decrease their emotional response and return them to the window of tolerance. These tools can include breathing techniques, grounding activities, somatic work, or polyvagal exercises.
Interesting. Thanks for giving that thought process. And the next thing that I wanted to ask is some of the common myths surrounding anxiety disorder. People do not know how to differentiate between anxiety disorder. So, if you can throw some light in terms of the myths, that would be great.
Yeah. Some myths I've heard about anxiety disorder. Only people who are weak get anxious. That's definitely not true. Um, Anxiety goes away on its own. No, not necessarily. It definitely we it's something that needs to be addressed. Talking about anxiety makes it worse. No, and my I think all time favorite one that I think early 2000s television really popularized this myth. It's the idea of breathing into a paper bag to combat anxiety, um, which
Wow.
yeah, I find kind of funny. It'll definitely help you get like more oxygen in your system, but it's not a great preventative measure for anxiety or a panic attack. There are different, better, and like different techniques for breathing and mindfulness.
Wow. Breathing into a paper bag, eh?
Yeah.
Is anxiety disorder a common condition?
Yes, it's definitely one of the more common mental health issues. So don't quote me on this, but I believe the American Psychiatric Association, let's try that, um, says it will affect nearly 30% of adults at some point in their life. So that's a very significant population.
Wow. um, Interesting. Do you have a relationship between stress and anxiety disorder?
Mm. I know it can be hard to kind of differentiate the difference. So the best way for me to describe that is to use an example. If in Canada, we get lots of snow, and a lot of us hate driving home in the sludgy, mucky, snow-covered streets. Um, and being stressed out about driving through the streets when there's snow on the roads, or having that stress while doing it, is totally normal. However, if you're finding that you're losing sleep over the idea of having to drive through the streets when it's snowing, you're not able to focus, you can't get your work done, these are all symptoms of an anxiety disorder. Just because you're finding that it bleeds into other areas of your life, and that your stress is so heightened that you're having trouble focusing, you're having trouble engaging in your normal activities because of how anxious you are about doing this task.
Interesting. um, will you prescribe medication to treat symptoms of anxiety disorder?
No, not at all. So I get this question a lot from some of my clients. My role is not to provide medication. It's to support the client in a way that is authentic to their experience of life. I do this by engaging in talk therapy, where I provide emotional support, psychoeducation, and community resources in an effort to address the symptoms and resolve any underlying causes of the anxiety. But my role is never to provide medication.
Interesting. And if I may ask, how long should someone go through a session, um, or is there a prescribed time that you need to go through a therapy to overcome anxiety disorder?
So, for some people, depending on the anxiety disorder, it can be situational anxiety. So, as long as they're in that situation, coming to counseling, doing some talk therapy is quite helpful. But for other anxiety conditions, it is a lifelong condition, that will be treated throughout your life, and you may always be coming in for counseling periodically as you go along. It really depends on the anxiety disorder itself. I never give a client a specific timeline, just because all treatment of any mental health disorder is very individualized. And we don't want to be slapping a general timeline on anything, because we want to be dealing with your root causes, and making sure that our treatment is specific to the individual.
Absolutely, 100%. Thanks. I mean, you don't have to get worried about anxiety disorder, because it's common and it's okay to have that. And going through a therapy is also not a stigma that you need to get worried about.
100%.
Thank you. Nalisa, how did you get to know about HealerBuddy?
So I'm a member of the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers. Big mouthful. But they had an opportunity to join HealerBuddy displayed on their website, and I took them up on that.
Awesome. It's a great opportunity. We are here to help and revolutionize mental health solutions for clients, and how we can help them overcome these issues and get on with their life to achieving their goals. Why should clients go to HealerBuddy?
Personally, I find HealerBuddy offers an accessible and affordable therapy to the public in a relatively easily platform. It also provides therapists like myself reasonable compensation rates in comparison to some of the other online therapy sites. And I'm someone who believes that those who work in the health field should be receiving reasonable compensation for their work.
Absolutely. We are here to make lives better, and we believe that therapists should be compensated for their work. More than all of this, we are here to revolutionize the mental health solutions that is provided in Canada. And to that extent, we give you accessibility, ease to use the platform, all at the comfort and convenience of yours. And you do not have to commute because all of our therapists are available virtually. Did we miss any questions from our audience? Let me take a look at LinkedIn. No. Let me take a look at Instagram. No, I don't see any. Awesome. Um, so thank you, Nalisa, for joining us and giving us some insights into anxiety disorder. Um, and also, I request anyone who's listening to us or viewing us for a longer session with Nalisa, uh, go on to HealerBuddy and book a time with her to have a understanding of your mental health state and overcoming that. She's there. She's the person.
And I'm happy to have conversation with anyone who is ready and willing. There are no stupid questions. Yeah, reach out, get in touch. You can go to healerbuddy.com, scroll down to Meet Our Therapist section, and you'll see many of the beautiful and talented faces there, one of which is mine. I think I'm wearing glasses in that photo, so don't let that confuse you. And yeah, you can just click book an appointment under my image to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go and find your therapist and pick Nalisa or other therapist, or you can put in the issues that you're facing in the Start My Journey filter and find a suitable therapist. For as we have mentioned earlier, for thanks since Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Christmas till the end of this year, there is no sign up fee, there is no subscription. You only pay for the therapist charges. So come on, let's get out of our mental blockers, life blockers, and get on with our life. Um, Thank you. Thanks for this time. And I thank you once again, Nalisa. All the best to
Thank you
everyone.
so much.